Harry appears to be breathing easier these days, even after his visa form and his past drug comments have been thrust into the spotlight, but this might just be the opening chapter of a much longer ordeal. In a distant corner of Montecito, a lavish California retreat where Prince Harry now enjoys a life of upscale comfort, the latest whispers painted a picture of a duke with a relieved smile. News had reached that efforts to unlock the mysteries behind his U.S. visa had come up empty. The court papers that did surface were smudged with blacked-out sections, hinting that his immigration details were cloaked in secrecy to protect him from potential harassment. What could be hiding behind these redactions? There was Harry, catching rays under a bright sky, as if a heavy burden had finally been lifted from his shoulders. For years, he'd been shadowed by claims that he had hidden the truth about his earlier brush with illegal drugs. At first glance, it seemed the need for privacy had triumphed over the demand for full disclosure. Conspiracy buffs might have hoped for clues of a deeper cover-up, yet the few released files, 6 in total, were littered with opaque black bars. Even a brief mention of a famous musician, once thought to be Sting, came off as frustratingly vague. How much are we really meant to know? One clear section, oddly stating whether Prince Harry or Sting or any other well-known figure held a special visa, made little sense when so many details were wiped clean. Still, it's too early to pop the champagne. In recent years, ever since a respected American research group used Freedom of Information laws to probe how the Duke landed in the U.S. after openly discussing his past encounters with substances like cocaine, marijuana, and even magic mushrooms, we've seen an unyielding hunt for the full story. Even if the papers don't definitively reveal whether Harry was given special treatment upon his arrival in America, the fact that campaigners managed to secure any of these documents shows that the process is running its course. For the prince, this feels like a ticking bomb waiting to go off. The influential group behind the inquiry isn't disappearing anytime soon. They have powerful legal teams and deep connections even in the upper echelons of Trump's former circle, and they firmly believe they will eventually come out on top. What will be the fallout for Harry when uncertainty becomes his new normal? The stakes couldn't be higher. Should it turn out that he misled officials about his drug past, Harry might face legal charges or, in the worst case, be forced to leave the country. Such an outcome wouldn't only be a personal nightmare for a man who once dreamt of U.S. citizenship, it would also send ripples of crisis through the royal family. After all, U.S. visa forms demand a straightforward answer to whether an applicant has ever been involved with drugs, yes or no. How might one simple box check unravel a carefully built life? This controversial chapter started with the prince's own honest confessions in his memoir, where he admitted that his first encounter with cocaine was at the age of 17. Those very words now stand at a crossroads, determining whether he gets to stay in the U.S. or is forced to depart. He described a weekend at a country estate during a shooting trip where he was offered a line and later indulged a few more times. He wrote that it wasn't exactly fun or uplifting for him, though it did change his state of mind, a shift he desperately craved as a troubled teenager eager to break free from normalcy. He even claimed that marijuana proved to be a better escape. Lighting up in a cramped bathroom at Eton, he recalled giggling at the mischievous thrill of it all. In another vivid recollection, he told of a wild trip on psychedelic mushrooms at a party hosted by a well-known TV star in Los Angeles. After helpfully emptying a large box of chocolate treats infused with mushrooms, he wandered into a bathroom where a simple trash can morphed into a surreal face. When he pressed its pedal, the face seemed to grin widely, and he couldn't help but laugh. Could such lighthearted memories now cast a dark shadow? For the research group, the issue isn't merely the confession itself, it's the cheerful tone in which Harry recalled these episodes. They argue that as a high-profile public figure involved in political discussions, he should not be celebrating drug use in a best-selling book. It smacks of misusing his influential position. This forms the backbone of their case. The public deserves to know exactly how he answered that tricky drug question on his visa application. If he did check yes, then someone must have granted him a waiver for entry into the U.S. Who made that call, and why? Activists find this not only reasonable but essential, raising tough questions about whether Harry received special treatment and what that says about government honesty. Remember, President Trump rose to power on a promise of tighter border control and strict law enforcement. That legacy fuels the confidence of those demanding full disclosure on Harry's case. As the legal tussle to free up these records continues, some insiders believe that Trump might eventually step in and order their release by executive decree. Yet, one can't help but wonder if he would take such a risky move, especially after previously remarking that he wouldn't deport Harry because, as he quipped sharply, he's got enough problems with his wife. What twist might come next? One possible spark could be the president's simmering anger at the current administration, which last year unveiled the immigration files of his late mother-in-law, a move that reportedly infuriated his wife, Melania, after her mother's death in January. Meanwhile, it's hard to ignore that Archewell, the charity linked to Harry and Meghan, had donated nearly £200,000 to fund a wellness center for Biden's daughter, Ashley. Could any of these controversies finally push a defiant Trump to act out of spite or even revenge? Niall Gardner from the research group summed it up when he said that the documents released by Homeland Security were so heavily blacked out that they offered zero accountability and transparency. As more pieces of the puzzle come to light, one has to ask, is this just the calm before an even greater storm? The unfolding story might only be the start of a long and twisting nightmare for Harry, and we're all left wondering what comes next.